Hi friends, welcome back. Today we are putting together a demonstration formula from Fraterworks. This one is for Nishane Ani, released in 2019 and perfumed by the elegant Cecile Zarokian. This was just released, I think, by Fraterworks. At least I just got an email notification, and it's very simple. I've been itching to get another video out, and this very simple formula is perfect. It's very straightforward. I would expect this to smell simple, but very pleasing. And I have a sample here, so we can compare and contrast the formula, at least a fresh batch of the formula, with the real deal. Now, if we look at the formula, if we look at the breakdown, per usual, most of this is in the base, but then we have a lot in high notes, or at least higher end notes, and most of that is in bergamot. If we look at the formula just in and of itself, if we look at the top four materials, it's 68% of the concentrate: hedione, isoe super, bergamot, and galaxolide. And then we got patchouli, we got ethyl vanillin, we have some cetilox. Very straightforward formula. So I'm looking forward to putting this together. Today I'm going to make 40 grams. It's roughly 50 milliliters, and the end concentrate will be 25%. Nishane's fragrances are typically at an extrait de parfum, or an extrait concentration, whatever that means. You can kind of do whatever you want. But in this case, I'm going to assume 25%. And just looking at the materials here, there doesn't look to be anything that will punch you in the face if you put it at a 25% concentrate. So it is what it is. So let's get started. I'm really looking forward to this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the most concentrated materials right off the bat. Now, please remember the formula that I'm posting, or I'll have a link to the demo formula. The formula there is the formula for the concentrate. What I'm making is a batch formula. I'm making it for 40 grams, so I've adjusted the amount of materials in there. I've also added a bunch of ethanol, and then I've mixed with the dilutions of the various materials. So if you're following along at home and trying to do this exact batch, great. If you're doing anything else, take it with a grain of salt. You got to look at the formula. You got to do your own math. I'm sorry, you got to do your own math, okay? But let's get this started. I'm going to start with four materials. We're going to do the bergamot, the hedione, the galaxolide, and the isoe super. So let's start at the top. We're going to do hedione. Now, because I use hedione and bergamot so much, and galaxolide for that matter, I have all of these at 50% dilutions. So the hedione here, 5% of the concentrate. Oh, hold on. No, that's 5. It's 5% of the total juice. 20% of the concentrate's in hedione. Now I'm using hedione 50, and I need 4 grams. What's fun to do at home, if I may suggest, is if you make a big batch of hedione and isoe super, maybe equal parts. You can go a little heavier on the isoe super if you would like, or a little heavier on the hedione if you would like, depending on what you prefer. But just make, say, a 20% dilution of a 50-50 batch of isoe super and hedione. So imagine for a moment we have 10 grams of hedione, 10 grams of isoe super. That's 20 grams total. Then add 80 grams of ethanol, and you get this nice, 20% concentration of 50-50 hedione and isoe. And then what you can do is add 1 or 2 things to that blend just to see what happens. You can add a musk, you can add some sandalwood, you can add a little rose, you can add different sandalwood materials. It's really choose your own adventure. But the hedione gives you your base note. I'm sorry, the isoe super gives you your base note. The hedione gives you a nice lifting floralizer, and then whatever else you put in there is just fun. So let's do our isoe super. Again, 20% of the concentrate, and this is undiluted, this is neat. So my isoe super, I need 2 grams. And this is a lovely semi-transparent woody amber. It just fills the space. Don't need to put that down. It just fills the space. You know, I think we tend to rag on companies that say put a lot of DPG or other solvents in their concentrate so as to be able to market it as eau de parfum, when in fact you're probably really dealing with an eau de toilette if you had removed the DPG. Or maybe they market it as an extrait simply because 30% of your juice is in DPG, and that's technically it's not ethanol, so you consider it part of the formula. But you could kind of do that with isoe super and hedione. It'd be a different effect, but the function isn't that different. Bergamot. I'm using Bergamot 50. This is furocumarin free or bergaptine free. I need 3.6 grams at this 50% dilution. This is 18% of the concentrate. And I am going to test this as we go. Hopefully the linaloyl acetate in the bergamot doesn't evaporate too fast, but we'll see. Okay, galaxolide. Let's do our galaxolide. Again, I'm using galaxolide 50. Now, interestingly, the formula calls for galaxolide neat. So apologies to everyone in the world who puts this together using neat galaxolide, because you're going to need a hot plate, maybe a radiation gun, something to a microwave, I don't know, a boiler plate. You're going to need something, because pure galaxolide, you got to heat it up to use it. It's way too thick, way too sticky to use otherwise. So this galaxolide 50, it's 10% of the concentrate. So I need 2 grams at a 50% dilution. And this is just a nice, warm, neutral musk. It has a sweetness to it. It has a fullness to it, a richness to it, but also a cleanliness. It's not animalic. It's not too powdery. It's not too metallic. It's not too clean. It's just right in the middle. And I would say if your formula is missing galaxolide, habanolide, ethylene brassylate, helvetolide, if it's missing one of the core musks, you're probably missing something important. I have seen very few formulas that do not contain at least one musk. There are some out there. Maybe they're heavier in sandalwood or in the woody ambers, but the musks fill an important role in a fragrance, so don't neglect it. Okay, now because we added so much material in here, a lot of it neat, this is a really high concentration, not much ethanol, and when I dip, I'd like the ethanol to kind of spread it around, give it a little bit of lift, so I'm going to add some ethanol right now. I'm going to add 9.87 grams. Because at the end of this, I need to add 19.87. Because I'm using a bunch of highly concentrated materials, and concentrate wants to be at 25%. So just going to need to add some more ethanol. So let's add some now. And then when we're all done, I'll just add 10 grams of ethanol to top it off. Okay, almost done. And if I overdo it a bit, it's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Okay, set that aside. Let me get a permanent stir here. Mix it up. And I'm going to break the rules. I'm going to mix this and then I'm going to smell it right off the bat. I'm going to do that because, well, one, I know I'm going to be able to smell the hedione. It's going to be very apparent. It always is right when I add it. It takes a while for it to settle into the blend. One, this is just the base. And all I'm really expecting galaxolide with a bergamot top that's been floralized and has like a soft woody amber underneath. Nothing crazy. Yeah. I would say you could level up. You could level up your perfume base, and instead of doing 50-50 hedione ISOE super, you could do this exact accord. And just let this be your base. And then to this, start adding other materials. Could probably get away with that. Nice. Very nice. Okay, we will come back to this. Let me give it one more dip, just because. We will come back to this. Where do we go from here? Well, where I am going to go, because there are so few materials here, we need to add Cetilox. In the formula here from not Shopify. That's, if you look at the URL, the web URL, it says cdn.shopify.com. If we look at the formula, it says Ambrotech. This is just another word for Cetilox. Looks like this is manufactured by Cow. Oh, but according to Fraterworks, this is a superior racemic ambrox for a Cetilox replacement. Okay, this is a perfumer's choice during Cetilox shortages. I didn't know there was a Cetilox shortage. That tells you how much Cetilox I don't use. This I got a while ago. In any case, what I want to do is get the solid materials in here, and we have a few. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add our vanillas, our sweet notes, and we're going to add our Cetilox. Get out some spoons. And let's do our Cetilox. Here, we're going to add this neat, and it's going to be 0.5 grams. Neat. Ooh, they're like little beads in here. It smells good. It smells similar to Ambroxan. If you don't have Cetilox, if you don't have Ambrotech, if you don't have Ambrox DL, just use Ambroxan. Ambroxan, Ambrofix, Orcanox, Ambrox Super. It's all ambroxide. You're fine. You'll be fine. If you don't have any of that, you can use Cedramber. Cedramber is a little less marine, a little more warm and creamy, but you can get away with it. It's an appropriate replacement. But we're using Cetilox here. We need 0.5 gram. Don't get mad at me for not measuring this first. We're just going cold into the beaker. I know you guys will forgive me, so I appreciate it. All right, Cetilox is in. I think I'm going to need to add the rest of my ethanol after we get all these sweet notes in here. That's going to take a little bit of time to dissolve. Okay. Next, let's add the sweet notes. we've got vanillin. You know, before I add vanillin, there's one more solvent we can add. Isopropyl myristate. Do you say myristate or myristate? You know, potato, potato. It doesn't smell. All right. Should probably get a smaller little bit of this, but whatever. I need 0.28 grams of IPM. Here we go. All right. Nope. My scale is still doing this thing where it increases by 4/100ths of a gram every time I put my hand on top of it. All right. So we've got that. Okay, let's do our vanillin. 0.3 grams. Oh gosh, this smells so good. Vanillin smells so good. Let's be honest. 0.3 grams at 100%. This should dissolve pretty quickly. Vanillin, I find, definitely dissolves a little bit more quickly than Cetilox. Okay, vanillin's good. Now, interestingly, we have ethyl vanillin, but we've got more ethyl vanillin than we have vanillin. Ethyl vanillin is stronger than vanillin. Ethyl vanillin is not a 1-for-1 replacement. I don't know how much stronger it is. It's like 4 times stronger. Can't remember exactly what it is, but just know ethyl vanillin is stronger. Now here we're adding 100% neat vanillin, ethyl vanillin. It's 7% of the concentrate, so we need 0.7 grams. It's probably going to be roughly a teaspoon, roughly. Because I had half a teaspoon. Oh no, it would probably be half a teaspoon. I've got a half a teaspoon here. And again, it's okay if I get a little bit under, a little bit over. The way we smell is it's not a linear function. Twice the ethyl vanillin does not make it smell twice as strong as ethyl vanillin. It's a logarithmic function there. So to make it smell twice as strong, you need 10 times as much of the concentration. It's that kind of thing. Just like if you want something to be twice as loud, if you want a trumpet to be twice as loud, you don't just add a second trumpet. That's not how it works. You need to add 9 more trumpets to get it twice as loud. All right, next up, let's do maltol. Now, I was tempted to add maltol neat. If I was to add it neat, I would need 0.02 grams. Instead, I'm like, I'll just add my diluted maltol. Now, the caveat here is that maltol does not dissolve very well in anything, but it does dissolve well in benzyl alcohol. So I'm getting a little benzyl alcohol in here. Actually, I'm getting 0.38 grams of benzyl alcohol in this formula where it doesn't really belong, just so I can get that 0.02 grams of pure maltol. But you know what? It's no biggie. To me, it's no biggie. It's just perfumery. So let's add our 0.4 grams of maltol at 5%. Okay. Push comes to shove, maybe we'll get a slightly more balsamic rosy Ani. Never know. Next, ethyl maltol. Whipping through the base, as our favorite perfumer and perfume reviewer says. For ethyl maltol, also, this smells a bit stronger than its non-ethyl counterpart. The same way ethyl vanillin just comes off stronger as vanillin. It comes off as sweeter, just more presence. Ethyl maltol is the same. I have a tough time smelling maltol. I used to have a really tough time smelling ethyl maltol. But in any case, we've got 0.1 grams of ethyl maltol. It is caramely, a little dry. It's definitely sweet. Definitely has a different vibe though than vanillin and ethyl vanillin. Let's see how we're doing. I think I might want to add, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to add the remaining 10 grams of ethanol to this formula. Because I want that Cetilox to dissolve so I can smell what this is like. Also, something to note, I believe vanillin will discolor over time. I believe. Could be wrong. It's been a while since I've Googled that, but if I'm wrong, I have no doubt I will be corrected. So if you know better, share with the class. We all learn from each other, so throw it out there. Let me blend this a bit. Let me dip it. While we're stirring, how many of you have seen what's going on at the Fragrance Apprentice? George's, what is it? The Final Preacher. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. I feel like strong opinions are being thrown around. And I, for one, am all about it. I love the creativity and I love the commitment to this character. Absolutely love it. I think it's very cool. Might not be for everyone. Just like horror movies might not be for everyone. Some people love them. But whatever George is doing, good job. Keep it up. Highly entertaining. Highly entertaining. And I suppose that's why we come back to YouTube, right? To be entertained. Okay. This Cetilox is going to take a minute. So I'm going to dip. We've probably got 3/4 of the Cetilox dissolved. But it'll take a while longer though. So let me dip. And we'll keep going. Great. Next up, we're going to add 3 materials. And I'm hoping they're different enough where when we go back to this strip, I'll be able to parse them out. But we have hexadecanolide, otherwise known as juniper lactone, otherwise known as onestalide, onestalide. Then we're going to put in some Javanol, otherwise known as sandal cyclopropane. Fraterworks sells sandal cyclopropane, a generic version of Javanol. Dare I say, a dupe. You might want to buy the real thing and just buy Javanol. I don't know how you feel about supporting dupes, but Fraterworks is selling a dupe called sandal cyclopropane. So same molecule, should smell maybe just as good. We'll see. And finally, some patchouli. Now, Fraterworks is calling for dark patchouli with a patchoulol acid, patchoulol, I think that's what PA30 means, with a patchoulol concentrate of 30. At least that's how I interpret it. Patchouli has different levels of patchoulol in it. Most of them are around 30 to 35, maybe 40% patchoulol. You can get a molecular distilled or processed patchouli with 65% patchoulol in it. That just means it's, well, the way that it smells, it's much more dry and grassy, but maybe a bit more herbaceous. In any case, I'm using a dark patchouli here just because I'm trying to use it up. So let's add these 3. Let's start with our hexadecanolide. I need 1.5 grams at 10% because I'm using this diluted. Now, this is an interesting molecule because it's musky, but it's got a lactonic quality to it. There's not much here, so it's almost like this is simply building a bridge between the galaxolide and the sweet notes. But yes, interesting, very interesting molecule. Next, let's do our sandalwood, or our Javanol, or our sandal cyclopropane. I'm almost out of the real deal Javanol, and I bought a bunch of sandal cyclopropane, and by a bunch I mean 200 grams from Fraterworks, because Javanol is spendy. Javanol is spendy. 0.3 grams at 10% for this beautiful, very powerful, wonderful sandalwood note that to my nose has a rosy edge to it. My nose has also learned that an over concentration of Javanol doesn't make me sick per se, but there is something sickening about it in my nose. Just, it's off. It makes me feel off. Oh, patchouli. Love dark patchouli. We're going 100%. This is 8% of the concentrate, so this is a meaningful amount of the concentrate. I would imagine this would add a chocolatey, rich fullness to the formula. Oh, I'm excited about this. 0.8 grams. Let's go. Ooh, and look at this color. Look at that beautiful color. Okay. I'm short just a little bit. I'll just clean out the pipette a little, get a little blend. We'll have roughly the amount we need. Oh, and it adds this nice golden color. Boy, if you are not a fan of patchouli in fine fragrances, okay, more power to you. But if you're not a fan of patchouli because, you know, you've been into a couple head shops and it just smells like, you know, I don't know, hippies, I would urge you to reconsider your dislike of patchouli. It is magical. Okay, we gave that a little blend. Let us dip. And we'll do 3. Now remember, this had Javanol, hexadecanolide, and patchouli. And we're only going to do 3 more groups. First, we're going to add the rose. We have Turkish rose. The rose in the formula is a rose Isparta, I think. Rose oil Isparta. Never heard of it. There's only 1 part per 1,000. So 0.1% of the formula. Of the concentrate. I don't have rose Isparta, but I do have, it's a Turkish rose. I've got Turkish rose here, so you know what, this will do. This will do. Oh, and this is beautiful. When it's highly concentrated, it smells different than how you would just, you know, peek over and put your nose into a rose. It definitely smells different. Plus, it's a distilled oil, so the aroma chemical breakdown that you get in a rose otto is just, it's different than what you're going to get by smelling the flower. You know, if you get a headspace analysis or even a rose absolute, you're going to get more phenylethyl alcohol in a rose absolute, for example. But when this starts to wash through the fragrance, oh, it adds some power, a floral core that is just necessary for a fragrance. Next up, we have Damascone Alpha. Whew, not much here. I love this. This is like a fresh apple peel. Fresh, fruity. Oh, it's beautiful. Red apple peel. I need 0.05 grams at 10%. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'll give this a mix. Let's go. For those of you watching who have messaged me in the past saying how much you've wanted to get in perfumery, wanted to get into perfumery and start blending, how many of you have purchased a couple materials and started blending, or at least started smelling? How many of you? I'm interested to know. Let's dip. Rose Edition. I am loving this color, my friends. Absolutely loving this color. Okay, we've got two more. We're going to add our spices, and these are some of my favorite spices. Now, funny enough, if you go into Fragrantica, it says that pink pepper is one of the notes, but the Fraterworks formula does not call for a pink pepper. It calls for a black pepper. If you don't have black pepper, use pink pepper. If you don't have pink pepper, use black pepper. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. If you don't have either of those, you could probably get away with some frankincense. Something a little terpenic. You're not going to get the warm spiciness, but you'll get that terpenic top. And it's frankincense. It's not, at this level, you're not going to ruin your formula. So no biggie. Let's do our black pepper. This is 1.3% of the concentrate. My black pepper smells how black pepper smells. When you crack it, you use a pepper mill, get it over your food, and you smell. This is what this smells like. It's very umami. It smells like food. It's very nice. But that terpenic quality to the top. And I liken a terpenic, when I say terpenic, what I mean is this rich yet kind of sour, almost vinegary, but not acetic acid. It's slightly different. It's slightly the same. It's really tough to put my finger on. But if you smelled olibanum or frankincense and black pepper, there's a couple of other materials out there that are really high in a terpenic edge on top. You start to figure out what that note is pretty quickly. Next up, cardamom oil. Oh, love this. This is more of a cool spice. It's spicy, but it's not warm. Like eugenol is warm, clove, is warm, cinnamon is warm. Cardamom, nutmeg, those are cool spices. And here we have 0.2 grams at 10%. This adds just a little color, a little bright edge to our spiciness. And it's nice and dry. So this pairs well with drier notes like cedarwood and veramoss, vertofix. Next up, cinnamon. No, clove. I had the wrong one. All right. Now, if you don't have clove, use cinnamon. Maybe cinnamon leaf. I think cinnamon leaf has more eugenol in it. What we're really going for here is eugenol. You could always just use eugenol rather than clove. But if you do that, don't use it 1-for-1. Maybe cut it in half. Here we need 0.1 grams of clove at 10%. And it's funny what clove does to just add more presence and warmth, particularly to rose accords. But beyond rose accords, it's, I won't call it a magic ingredient, but it's close. And last in our spices, one of my favorites is ginger, CO2. I've got 4 different gingers. Actually, I've got more than that because I have some samples over here from the perfumery, which I will do a video on. But you've got fresh ginger, which smells like you literally just cut up ginger and you get that beautiful fresh whiff right off the cutting board. And I have a ginger root, which is much more earthy and dark, almost as if you aged ginger root, dried it out, and then tinctured it and pulled out a musty, earthy, rooty vibe. It's dark, it's dirty. Ginger CO2 splits the difference. You have that fresh ginger realism, but you get a little bit more of the dirty, rich, rooty aspect. And I need 0.2 2 grams at 10%. That should add some nice zing to what we're doing. A soft zing, but a nice zing. So let me get a mix. Then let's dip. Spice. Okay, and last we have ambergris. The formula from Fraterworks calls for a 2% ambergris tincture. I have not purchased that. Should probably put it on my list. I bet it's pretty awesome. But what I do have is ambergris tea olefac from IFF. Now this is suggested that it is suggested that you can use this as a 1-for-1 replacement of an ambergris 3% tincture. So you do a little math, and instead of doing 25 parts per 1,000, I'm going to do roughly 16.6. I just rounded up 17 parts per 1,000, and then I put that extra, what was it, 8? That extra 8 parts per 1,000 into the IPM, into the solvent. So, like for like, I mean, we should be on par here, using something equivalent to a 2% ambergris tincture. So at this level for this batch, I need 1.7 grams of ambergris tea olefac at 10%. And I just want to say, interestingly, remember, most fragrances, if not all fragrances, need something dirty. It doesn't matter how clean it is. If it's a clean aromatic fragrance, you probably got some cumin in there. You probably got some body odor in there. With this, we've got this ambergris, and in ambergris, there's an indolic note. I think it comes from ambronol. There's a close corollary between how those smell to my nose. Maybe for you it's different, but this is dirty, okay? It's still warm, but I would expect this to just warm up the fragrance, give it a little bit more body, something, a richness that otherwise wouldn't exist. It's one of those things where you might A/B test it, you know, one version of the fragrance without it, and then one version of the fragrance with it. And you might say, huh, this version is richer. I can't put my finger on why. It just feels richer. And it might be because it contains some dirty, funky thing like indole or ambergris or ambronol, ambrosinide, you know, just something dirty. All right, give that a blend, or at least give that a mix. I'm excited for this. Excited. All right, the final blend. Let's dip. All right, number 6. Final. Oh, friends. Okay, let's revisit with the base. Bergamot, galaxolide, isoe super, and hedione. That's it. The bergamot is almost made brighter with the hedione. It's as if the hedione shines a spotlight on the bergamot and just livens it up. It makes the brightness, or it makes the edges sparkle a little bit more. But the galaxolide and the isoe super calm it down and settle it. And this is just a very nice starting point. Now, next up, we added the Cetilox, so I would expect, if I can even pick it up, a bit more of that ambery, warm, gentle addition, but then a lot of vanilla. I have a sneaking suspicion this is just going to be covered up with vanilla and ethyl vanillin, with vanillin and ethyl vanillin. Interesting. It's not doing what I thought it was going to do. Despite 10% of the formula in vanillin and ethyl vanillin collectively. And at this point, this would be what? One seventh of the formula in vanillin. This is just adding a nice vanilla-like base, but it's not overpowering. It's not completely dominating the formula. The bergamot and the hedione is still punching above its weight class. It's definitely stronger over the vanillin, but so far the blend is very nice. And here we added 3 interesting notes: javanol, the juniper lactone or onestalide or hexadecanolide, is it hexadecalactone? Hexadecanolide, and then the patchouli. So let's see what we get. Okay, patchouli's coming in forward. It's coming in hot. It is there. Interesting. The first smell, I still get hit with bergamot and hedione. I'm trying to detect the javanol. Right now, it's just blending. It's blending well into the formula, into the blend, and it's just getting overpowered by the bergamot, the patchouli, and the vanilla notes. So let's smell what happens when we add the Rose Otto and the Damascone Alpha. I'm hoping for a nice floral color here. Ooh, this is so subtle and it's so beautiful. Oh, it is just a hint of fruity, floral beauty. And I mean a hint. But it's there. This is a hint of an addition, but its impact is meaningful. And remember, the Rose Otto, 0.1% of the concentrate. Damascone Alpha, 0.05% of the concentrate. But you combine this with the patchouli and how it collected with the bergamot, and oh my gosh, I don't even want to stop smelling this particular one, even though we got 2 to go. That's a beautiful addition. When I come across things like this, I try to remember the dosing. That in this particular case, the way it's currently structured up until now, where it's soft, it's full, but there's no jagged edges. Adding that rose puts a little snap in the middle that directs your nose inward to this fruity floral core. Spice, we're adding color: black pepper, cardamom, clove, and ginger, CO2. Okay. This is even more subtle. And I first latch on to the ginger, interestingly. This is just warming it up a bit. There was a lot of black pepper in there, but I feel like it's playing well with the rose. It's almost contributing to the rose. Rose can have a terpenic quality on top. It can have a similar vibe at the very top, or at least there's an aspect of it that's similar to black pepper and frankincense. Okay. We're just now adding layers of nuance and complexity and just beauty. And finally, ambergris. Now, will this be richer than the previous smell? I don't know. Let me reset my nose first. Remember, friends, if you're smelling perfumes, you don't need to smell coffee beans. Just smell your skin. That helps your nose reset. All right, let's do this. We added the ambergris. It definitely adds something. Richer isn't the right word, but something's there. It is a little dirtier. It's whiter. And it fills out the heart of that fragrance a bit. This is nice. I'm going to put a little on my skin. And now, unfortunately, this is minutes old. Even overnight, this will change. Some of maybe the harsher top notes that are coming through right now will go away, or at least those will become a little bit more subdued. So what I'm going to do as this is sitting on my hand is I'm going to spray the real deal on my other hand. Okay. Let's do this. First time spraying it. Okay. Don't want to smell this. I don't want to. Oh, I'm smelling it though. It's projecting. I could smell it in the air. Okay. That's drying. My hands are all shiny. Let's see what it smells like on skin. Interesting. 18% bergamot. And the brightness we get on the strip does not come through on my skin. Maybe it's because my skin is warm. Maybe it's the way my chemistry interacts with the limonene, the linolyl acetate. There's a bright edge, but the body of the bergamot just isn't there compared to the strips. The patchouli is noticeable. The vanillin's there for support. I'm still getting that beautiful rosy core enhanced by the spices. Candidly, I can only pick that out because I just went through the formula and my brain is trying to zero in on things. If I was to blind smell this, it would be a different story. I'd go through a checklist in my head. Do I smell bergamot? Do I smell hedione? Like, what is the effect that I'm looking for? And I would try to go through a checklist, but knowing what I'm looking for is helping. Okay. This is nice. Minutes old, and this is nice. Let's compare it to the original. I need to reset my nose again. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's delightfully close. Delightfully close. The nuances are different, but maybe they're supposed to be because I used a different Cetylox or Ambrox DL. I used a different hexadecanolide. I used a different rose. Maybe that's enough. Oh, wow. Minutes old. This one is, I bought this in 2024, so this has even been aging in here. These are close. And it smells good. This is a very simple formula. I would suggest you get after this. Of course, thank you to Fraterworks for doing the work, doing this work and sharing it with everyone. I think most of us know as beginning perfumers, it's hard to find good complementary formulas. So a huge shout out to Fraterworks for putting in the work here and sharing it. Friends, thank you for stopping by. Really appreciate it. If you missed the last video, I finally launched Ryan Parfums, phase 1 of the brand. It's going well so far. If you've made orders so far, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. We're just going to keep doing this together, keep moving on this journey together. In the meantime, if you're one of those that has been itching to get started, buy a couple materials, get a couple scent strips, smell them, mix them up, and just get started. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.